The first Corsa went on sale in the UK 26 years ago, and since then Vauxhall has sold 2 million of them. In 2019, twice as many Corsas were sold than any other model. And now, there's a new one. And there's quite a lot to take in.
But before we get into the details, make sure you subscribe to our channel, switch on the notifications and leave your comments below. This 5th generation model, or the 6th in Europe where the first Corsa was our Nova, comes at a pretty hectic time for the Luton brand. That's because this is the first fully new car Vauxhall has released since the PSA brand took over. In fact, there was a new Corsa being readied under the former General Motors ownership too, but with that project canned, development started from scratch and the new car was turned around in an incredible 30 months. The Corsa rides on the very latest PSA Group platform known as CMP. It's going to become pretty common over the next couple of years, and it'll also form the basis of the new Peugeot 208 in 2008 and the DS3 Crossback, among others. So we were invited to Croatia to find out if Vauxhall's managed to give its most important model in a generation a unique character.
Now we'll come to that in a minute, but what's certain is it's all changed from the previous car. Just take the styling. Although it looks a lot wider than before, it's actually a millimetre narrow, which is a very impressive trick that Vauxhall's managed to do with the design. It's helped that it's actually a bit lower than the previous, so it looks a lot more sporty. And if we come around to the side, you see that the bonnet is lower and longer than before and less of an MPV shape, and it means that it's got this more sporty appearance. The wheels range from 16 to 17 inches, and then we've got a contrasting roof on this model as well. Overall, I think it looks pretty smart, if not quite as pretty as the 208.
Still, it's a tidy looking thing. While it's a tiny bit narrower than the old one, the new Corsa has grown 39mm longer and the wheelbase is up too. There's a bigger benefit to that new shape though. Vauxhall reckons it's the most aerodynamic car in its class, which means that there's less wind noise than in previous Corsas.
Just like on the outside, the Corsa is a little more sensible on the inside than its French cousin. Whereas the 208 has a really small steering wheel with digital dials placed above them, the Corsa gets the dials between the steering wheel like you're used to and a normal big-sized round steering wheel. Well, almost round.
It can't quite compete with the 208's unique style, and while it feels solid enough, it's got a few more hard, scratchy plastics dotted around the cabin. There's a decent amount of tech, like the digital dials offered in some models. The customisable display lets you look at navigation and trip functions, but the small screen just looks a little bit lost in that instrument binnacle, particularly when you compare it to the glorious huge display in the Renault Clio. The top spec Elite Nav and Ultimate Nav models come loaded with kit. A heated steering wheel, a panoramic sunroof and even massaging seats are all available. A 10-inch infotainment system is also fitted to those two models, while the rest get a 7-inch version. It's largely the same as the ones that's used in various Peugeots and Citroens, and while it looks pretty, the menu layouts just aren't as intuitive as those you get in rivals from either the VW Group, Kia and Hyundai. On the plus side, the Corsa keeps physical controls for the heating functions, so you don't have to keep faffing around in the touchscreen just to change the fan speed as you have to in the 208. But as with the 208, passenger space isn't really a strong point.
Now moving into the back, and the Corsa is a little bit more cramped than some of its rivals. Now I'm only 5'7", so I'm not going to be troubling headroom in any car anytime soon, but that seat is set to my position and there's still not a huge amount of knee room in here. There are roomier rivals like the Seat Ibiza and the Hyundai i20. At least there is a couple of USB ports in the bottom though.
But there's more to those back seats than just the space. That's because, as part of Vauxhall's effort to save weight wherever possible, the back bench weighs 4.5 kilos less than the old one. A gripping fact, I know, but the fun doesn't even stop there. Those seats are just part of a diet that means the new Corsa weighs about 10% less than the old one. The body in white is 40 kilos lighter yet 15% stiffer. The use of aluminium for the engines and bonnet save another 17 kilos at the front, while the front seats are lighter too. That means that the entry-level Corsa now tips the scales at just under 980 kilos. And that should make it feel much more lively on the road. So does it?
Now, like a lot of you out there, I actually learned to drive in a Vauxhall Corsa, but at the time I was far too busy trying to find a biting point in the clutch and avoid curbs that just came out of nowhere to realise that, well, it wasn't actually very good to drive. But this new one, well, learners have got it much better now. Not that they'll realise.
Though it's very similar under the skin to the 208, the Vauxhall is set up to feel just a little bit more sporty. That means that the Corsa's ride is on the firmer side in the supermini class, but it's still comfortable enough. The lack of weight means it feels agile on the road, though it feels set up to be safe and sensible rather than exciting. The steering is precise though, and it's got a really nice weighting to it.
But is it as good to drive as a Fiesta? Well, not quite, but it's dead easy to drive, and that's what matters more to most people.
And it should be stress-free at night. All Corsas come with LED headlights as standard, while the top spec cars get matrix units that use cameras to scan the road ahead to make sure that you don't dazzle oncoming road users. They can also adjust with the steering angle so they can illuminate corners as you turn in. We've already confirmed that the lack of weight makes the Corsa above average to drive in the class, and it really helps when it comes to performance too.
Now under the bonnet, this Corsa has a 1.2 litre turbocharged petrol engine with 99 brake horsepower. And it's great. It's smooth, it's lively, it's everything you'd need from an engine in a supermini.
Above all that, the Corsa also promises to be cheap at the pumps. Even on our drive along twisty, hilly country roads, it averaged 6.4 litres per 100 kilometres. That's about 44 mpg. In less enthusiastic driving, it was getting around 50 to the gallon. That was when it was paired with a 6-speed manual gearbox. It isn't spectacular to use, but it still gets the job done. There's also an 8-speed auto available with this engine, which is a £1,730 option. The petrol range kicks off with a non-turbocharged 1.2 litre, where it makes a learner-friendly 74 brake horsepower and comes with a 5-speed manual gearbox. There's also a 1.5 litre diesel option that makes 101 brake horsepower, which is a 6-speed manual only. And then there's the Corsa E. The fully electric model pairs a 134 brake horsepower electric motor with a 50 kWh battery for a range of about 200 miles. Prices for the Corsa start from $15,500 for the base 1.2 litre petrol in SE trim. Standard equipment includes 16-inch alloy wheels, Apple CarPlay and Android Auto, air conditioning, lane departure warning and traffic sign recognition. But here's the thing, our new class favourite is the Renault Clio, and for the same power as the base level Corsa, you can get one for $14,295. That's big money to give away in this class. Overall then, the Corsa has plenty going for it. It's easy to drive, it's built well, and it should be really cheap to run. However, it doesn't quite manage to lead the class in any one area. We'll need to get one back in the UK to be sure, but it still looks like the Renault Clio and the Ford Fiesta remain the best super mini choices.